Here is every single vault we got to peek inside during the first season of Fallout. Because while Lucy MacLean might think the world is just about following the golden rule, the reality of the situation is so much messier and, frankly, way more interesting. We have to start with the big picture before we get into the specific bunkers. You have to remember that in this universe, the vaults were never really about saving humanity, at least not in the way you'd hope. Designed by Vault-Tec before the world went up in nuclear flames, these underground cities were built to last for centuries, but they were also built to serve specific, usually nefarious purposes. The show establishes pretty quickly that while Lucy grew up thinking she was part of the lucky few saving America, she was actually just a lab rat in a very expensive maze. We learn later on, thanks to some very intense flashbacks involving a map and a corporate meeting that would make anyone nauseous, that there are over 100 of these bad boys scattered across the United States. And the show confirms that these vaults were handed out to different power players from companies like Big MT and Robco, so they could run their own twisted little scenarios to maximize profit and scientific data, regardless of ethics. But in the show, we mainly focus on a specific cluster in California, the triad of 31, 32, and 33, and the bizarre outlier that is Vault 4. Let's start where our story starts, which is Vault 33. This is home. This is where we meet Lucy. If you were going to pick a vault to ride out the apocalypse in, on the surface, this looks like the one you'd want. It is aggressively pleasant. Located underneath the ruins of Santa Monica, Vault 33 feels like a 1950s sitcom that never ended. They have a thriving cornfield, which is honestly impressive, given they haven't seen the sun in 200 years, and they are weirdly obsessed with deviled eggs and jello cakes. They have a governing council that seems to handle things democratically, composed of folks like Betty Pearson, Woody Thomas, and Reg McPhee. They have an overseer, Hank MacLean, who just seems like the ultimate dad, kind, protective, and heavily invested in the community. It's a place where people are genuinely nice to each other. They hold elections, they have polite conversations, they practice gymnastics, fencing, and they watch movies like Fred and Ginger to pass the time. It's idyllic. But, it's also incredibly weird. The vibes in Vault 33 are almost too good. There is a heavy emphasis on two things: breeding and duty. The whole society is structured around the idea of Reclamation Day, the mythical future date when they will open the door, step outside, and rebuild America with their superior morals and work ethic. To keep this dream alive, they have a very structured system of intermarrying. Vault 33 is part of a tripartite society, connected physically to Vault 31 and Vault 32. The idea is that they trade resources, and more importantly, they trade people based on genetic compatibility. Every few years, they swap citizens for marriage to ensure genetic diversity, or so they say. It's all very clinical. You have people like Chet, the gatekeeper, and cousin to Lucy and Norm, just living this life, pining after his cousin in a way that is unfortunately very casual in this setting, unaware that their entire existence is basically a glorified eugenics program. The residents of 33 believe they are the best of the best, keeping the candle of civilization burning, but they are really just the broodmares and stallions for a much darker project. They are the control group that grew a little too comfortable. Before we find out what happened next door, you should probably hit that subscribe button right now. It ensures you won't be left outside when the bombs drop. Secure your future today. Okay, back to the carnage. Then you have the neighbor, Vault 32. If Vault 33 is the dream, Vault 32 is the nightmare that wakes you up screaming. We are introduced to Vault 32 under the guise of a happy exchange. Lucy is getting married to a guy named Monty from Vault 32. It's supposed to be a joyous occasion, a merging of the two populations. But the second the doors open and the visitors walk in, something feels off. They look a little rougher. They don't have that shiny, vitamin D deficient glow that the Vault 33 dwellers have. And of course, that's because they aren't Vault dwellers at all. They are raiders, led by the terrifyingly competent Lee Moldaver, and they proceed to absolutely massacre the residents of 33. It's a bloodbath. We find out later that the only reason they were able to get in is that they used the Pip-Boy of the original overseer of 32 to trick the censors. But the real horror of Vault 32 isn't the raiders. It's what Norm and Chet find when they sneak in there later to investigate. When Norm and Chet explore the empty, ruined halls of Vault 32, they realize the raiders didn't kill the original residents. The original residents of 32 had been dead for a long time. Specifically, they had been dead for 2 years. The place is a tomb, and it wasn't a peaceful end. The walls are covered in blood and frantic scribbles that say things like, "We know the truth," and "Death to management." The corn had rotted away. The people of Vault 32 figured it out and realized that their lives were a lie, that they were being used, and it looks like they turned on each other, turning to cannibalism, suicide, and torture. There are signs that they tried to breach the door to Vault 31, desperate to get answers, or maybe just revenge, but they failed. What's even crazier is how the leadership handles it. When Betty Pearson, who takes over as overseer of 33 after Hank is kidnapped, finds out that Norm knows about 32, she just covers it up. They clean out the bodies, scrub the walls, and initiate a resettlement campaign. They move people from 33, including Chet and Stephanie, into 32 to essentially reboot the computer. They just pretend the massacre and the years of rot never happened. Alright, Vault 31 is the big one. Throughout the show, this vault is treated like this mysterious VIP club. The residents of 33 and 32 are told that 31 is just another vault they trade with, but nobody ever sees anyone from there unless it is an arranged marriage. When Norm finally hacks his way into Vault 31, he expects to find another society. Instead, he finds a cold storage locker. There are no families, no cornfields, no movie theaters. It is just a long hallway filled with cryogenic pods and a little cleaning robot rolling around. But that robot isn't just a Roomba, it's a robo-brain containing the actual, living biological brain of Bud Askins, a junior executive from Vault Tech pre-war. Bud was obsessed with the idea that time is the ultimate weapon. He believed that the only way to win the war of capitalism was to simply outlive the competition. This is the Bud's Buds program. All those pods, they contain Vault Tech middle managers, executive assistants, and loyalists from before the bombs dropped. The entire purpose of the tripartite system, Vaults 31, 32, and 33, is to act as a breeding ground for these frozen managers. Whenever Vault 32 or 33 needs a new overseer, Bud thaws one of his buds out, and they step in to lead the sheep. Hank MacLean is from 31. Betty Pearson is from 31. They are pre-war people pretending to be part of the Vault Society to ensure that Vault Tech's corporate culture survives the apocalypse. They are breeding a super race of managers to take over the world once everyone else is dead. This also explains why Hank was so quick to nuke Shady Sands when his wife took Lucy there. He wasn't just a jealous husband, he was an employee protecting company property. Finally, we have to talk about Vault 4. This is the vault Lucy and Maximus stumble into, and it is completely disconnected from the 31, 32, 33 drama. It's located under a hospital. The overseer is a literal cyclops, one big eye in the middle of his forehead, and there are residents with ears on their foreheads or extra noses. Naturally, you assume this is a vault where radiation leaked, or where they are experimenting on people. And, well, you'd be half right. Lucy finds out that the original purpose of Vault 4 was to let scientists, led by a guy named Lloyd Hawthorne, experiment on human subjects to create radiation-resistant hybrids. It was brutal. We see footage of women giving birth to carnivorous gulpers, those giant mouth creatures from the lake that promptly ate their parents. It was a house of torture. But here's the twist. That was the past. The test subjects rebelled years ago. They killed the scientists and took over the vault. The mutants we see now, like the Cyclops Overseer Benjamin, are the descendants of those test subjects, and they are actually incredibly nice. Vault 4 is basically a refugee camp. They took in survivors from Shady Sands, the capital of the new California Republic that got nuked. There is actually a bit of tension in the vault between the Vaulties, the original mutants, and the Surfies, the surface refugees, but they generally make it work. They have a weird cult-like reverence for Moldaver, calling her the Flame Mother, and they do some creepy chanting involving a fusion core, but they are genuinely benevolent. They give Maximus a bathrobe and slippers, and he gets addicted to their cavitation showers and fresh oysters. They offer hot food. They have a democracy. When Lucy snoops around level 12 and finds the horrific experiments, she thinks she is about to be killed. Instead, the Overseer just sighs, explains that those are old history lessons they keep to remind them of the past, and banishes her to the surface with 2 weeks of food and supplies. It is a brilliant subversion. The scary-looking mutants are the good guys, while the clean-cut humans in Vault 33 are unknowingly part of the most evil experiment of all. Drop a comment below telling me which vault you think you'd survive in, and I'll see you in the next one.